We left Olino State Park after peeling all the caterpillars off of everything. We were making our way to our first Boondockers Welcome site down this perfect country road. We made it to our boondocking site, and this is our first time using Boondockers Welcome. What a great spot. It's so quiet here. It has such a different feel than a campground, even though there's maybe like 6 other people here, kind of in a big loop. We got settled in. We got set up. I'm going to show you the couple things that are interesting that we got at the little farm stand yesterday. So we keep seeing signs for boiled peanuts, and we decided to give them a try. They taste totally different than roasted peanuts. Kind of like peas in a pod. That very distinctive flavor when you eat peas, very similar, and they're not salted, so different flavor. And then of course we had to get a little bit of peanut brittle. So that was our treat from yesterday. Yeah, this is a nice quiet area, great change of pace from being in a campground. So we're gonna go sit outside in the shade. It's about, I wanna say like 86 today, and it's very pleasant. We got a little bit of shade from this big oak tree, so I think it's gonna be pretty good. It was nice being out of the campground setting and being in a more residential feeling area. There was a lot of open space around us. We were lucky enough to get this somewhat shaded spot under the big oak tree. Although we figured out pretty quickly that none of the other people staying here picked that spot, because you do get a lot of things falling out of the tree. So the Jeep was kind of dirty by the time we left, but that's okay. We were sitting here enjoying our coffee in the shade, and we realized that one of the things that we could finally do here was set up our solar and Starlink. So we were going to have some internet, and I was very excited about that because I had to catch up on some work. I don't know. I thought you knew. Oh. We've never actually used the solar panel that goes with the EcoFlow. Well, you plugged in it once at home, didn't you? Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a matter of...
We just haven't used it out in the wild. But this is the perfect spot to charge it. I mean, we have great sun today. And we are going to set up the Starlink. So that's going to be our power source. So the first owner of the Scamp converted it to a regular plug, which means...
Shoot.
No?
The wrong plug.
Wrong plug.
I got the wrong extension cord.
Really?
Hmm.
Do we have another one? The last owner of the Scamp converted it to a normal plug because we don't have air conditioning and we don't have a microwave, so the Scamp really doesn't draw a lot of power in general. So the neat thing is we can plug that right into the EcoFlow with the solar panel. So now that's powering the Scamp. So all the plugs and stuff should work, right?
Everything's inverted.
Yeah.
The AC.
Pretty neat. It's the first time we got to play around with it like that. So we'll see. Now we gotta get the Starlink to work. And then we'll have full internet in a random field. Okay, so here's our setup. I just actually charged this camera with the solar. So we have the solar charging the EcoFlow. Starlink is up. There's the router for the Starlink. And there's my laptop. So it's working really well.
Working?
Yeah, it's working great. Surprised. Well, this is really the first time we've been able to get the whole setup to work where we have sun and a field where there's enough sky for the Starlink to work here, because every other time I've had to like go to a baseball field to be able to get the Starlink to work. So this is really nice that we can just be here and have internet. As the sun went down, Patrick put the solar panels away. We brought our chairs out to the front to watch the rest of this beautiful sunset and got a little bit of reading done. It was nice being out of a campground and having so much open space around us. And even though there were several other campers sharing this spot, it was pretty quiet and we got to enjoy this beautiful sunset. This has been a great first experience with Boondockers Welcome. Great spot. Even there's a lot of people here. It was quieter than it has been in the campground, so that was a nice treat. And this Boondockers Welcome site is amazing. They have a dump station over here. Pat's filling up water. So nice. Usually you don't get anything like that. So, and we got to park under this really pretty oak tree with a great breeze. It has been warm, but it hasn't gotten to that point yet where it's too warm. So today we are going to Harvest Host because today's Saturday and we're going to a farm today, which I'm very excited about. This is kind of one of the things that I wanted to check out more in Florida. There's a lot of farms in the northern part of Florida and I just want to see like what they're growing, what's in season, all that kind of stuff. So, but first, laundry, because we're getting to that point. This is our normal routine. When Red figures out that we're going somewhere, he wants to go in the Jeep, and then he sits in the Jeep and he looks at us judgingly. Like, humans, why aren't you ready to go yet? Why are you taking so long? It's easier for him to get ready. As we were heading toward the Harvest Host, we drove through the town of High Springs. And this was an area that I wish we got to spend more time in. They have a very nice downtown area with shops and restaurants. On this particular day, it was busy because they had a festival going on. An antique store. Yeah, there's a little fair going on downtown. That's why there was so much traffic. They do a lot of weekend things here. Little town festivals and stuff. It's so neat. We were surprised how many towns had little markets and festivals on the weekends. Several towns that we drove through had events going on that looked like a lot of fun. But this is probably their high season. I'm sure in the summer when it's really hot and humid, they're probably not doing quite as much outside. I have to laugh because I feel like travel is often portrayed as this like really glamorous, always fun thing, and we've spent the last couple hours hanging out in a parking lot in front of the Dollar General. I'm sweating. Patrick was in a laundromat and I'm trying to keep the laptop from dying so I can get the video edited. So that's a little reality of what travel is like in the in-between moments. But now we have clean laundry, which is great, and we're going to go head over to our next Harvest Host. I texted the Harvest Host and they said that they're still kind of busy right now because it's a farm on Saturday, so they asked if we could delay like 2 hours. So I looked at the map and there's this historic site over here, so we're just going to come and hang out. Hopefully we can park the Scamp fairly easily. Kill a little time because it's like 2 minutes away from here. I looked at Google Maps and saw this place called the Dudley Farm Historic Park, and it was just a couple minutes away, so we headed over there. We were able to park the Scamp. I hung out with Redford first because it's not dog friendly, unfortunately, so we did the flip-flop. First Patrick walked around and checked out the grounds, and then we switched and I got to go and explore. But this ended up being such a highlight of the trip for me. We were only there for a couple hours and it was totally by accident that we found this place. But if you told me that we could move in right then and there, I would have started taking my stuff out of the Scamp and making myself right at home, because this place had the exact feel of what Patrick and I are looking for. On a much bigger scale, of course, this house was quite large by our standards, but it was so simple and everything had a purpose. Everything was durable and functional, and it just made sense. So if we were able to find a little piece of property with these farms and all of these outbuildings and just a little simple house, we would move right in. The bonus was that this house was built before air conditioning, and the design is so smart because the air moves from one side of the house through to the other. So even though it was a warm day, you didn't feel overheated. It had such great airflow. But the highlight for me were the gardens. I was just in love with this property, and truly, if I could find something like this, I would move in right at that moment. This property, all of the buildings and all of the equipment that you see were donated by the original family that lived here to the state so that it could be preserved for future generations to enjoy. And I'm so glad that they did that. Pat and Red are hanging out in the Scamp there in the shade. And I just walked through the farmstead. That is so neat. And we have a little bit longer before we head over to the harvest house, so I'm going to check out this little trail. But I love when we sort of accidentally stumble upon things like this. It just feels like such a treat because you weren't expecting it, and then all of a sudden you're there, and it's so cool. The volunteers were talking to me about things they're working on in the store and preservation, and what a fun little place. So glad we got to stop here. When we were talking to people about taking this trip, a lot of people were confused about why we were coming to this area, because I think the general theme that people have of Florida is that if you're not on the coast at the beaches, or if you're not at Disney, that there's like nothing else in this state of interest. They think if you go inland, it's just like nothing. But it's so pretty, and I keep getting surprised by just how pretty it is and how many little things there are to see and do with the springs and state parks and historic sites like this. So I feel like it's like a little secret. Everyone thinks of like the, typical things in Florida, but there's so much more. I headed back to the Scamp to see how the guys were doing. The only thing that would make this park better is if it was dog friendly. Unfortunately, Red had to stay in the parking area the whole time. Oh, hi Red. You hot? It's not bad though. The shade's not bad.
No.
Ready?
Yeah.
Ready? Okay. We made our way over to Sweet Roots Organic Farm, just a couple minutes away. Okay, there's all our veggies. What an awesome farm. So I went and walked around with the owner for a little while, and she would like hand me something and have me try it, and then ask if I wanted to put it in the bucket. And I pretty much said yes to everything, except there was one thing that was licorice flavored, and we don't really like, you don't like licorice, right?
No.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, that's the one thing. Everything else, yes.
I'll eat the candy, but...
Not the licorice. Really? I don't even like licorice candy.
Really? Not the black one.
No, no, none of them.
The red one.
But these are like the best veggies that we've had in a very long time. I'm super excited about this. I don't think the peas are gonna make it into the fridge. We're eating them. And then we got like all these different greens that we have not been able to find. Bok choy, salad greens, all this stuff. I'm so excited. And they taste amazing. They're so fresh. So it's the awesome thing about Harvest House. I'm trying to upload our first video with Starlink, and I want to say it's like a little less than 20-minute video, and it was looking like an hour and 40 minutes total. So we're about half an hour in. Yeah, and it's actually, no, it's got 40 minutes left. But Starlink is working pretty well here. There it is out there. Just gonna go check the battery because now that the sun is going down, we're not getting solar in, so I'm gonna make sure the battery's not gonna die. Although we're gonna have electric tomorrow at the state park because all the state parks we booked in Florida have electric. I made a big salad with a lot of those fresh greens that we literally just picked out of the farm, and it was one of the best salads I've ever eaten. And just to make it better, we sat outside and watched the sunset over the farm. A perfect day to end this exploration of Florida. Make sure that you are subscribed because next we are heading to one of the amazing blue holes. We'll be at Gilchrist Springs State Park, and you're not going to want to miss that. Thank you so much to our Patreon members for supporting the production of these videos.
The news and what you hear your career. It's time for you to face those fears, and it's all fair to be aware, and I'll be there, so don't be scared. Just take a deep breath of air, and 1, 2, 3 to 10, you begin to focus again, and though time flies, we'll have enough to realize this bigger than the both of us.